Hello, more than 5%ers. Happy Pod Day. A couple updates before we get to the episode. First and foremost, happy Women's History Month. We love when women do the things, the big things, the small things, every day, all types of things. So keep supporting your women, keep pushing the boundaries, and keep pushing that 5%. Secondly, Canada Soccer makes historic leadership change. Charmaine Crooks, 5-time Olympian, is named as Canada Soccer's acting president, becoming the first woman and person of color to lead the federation. She replaces former president Nick Bontis, who resigned on Monday. So big news for women in sport, big news for Canada Soccer as well. If you caught our episode a couple weeks ago, we talked about their kind of playing in protest situation for the upcoming World Cup in 2023. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction for equal pay in that federation. Now to the episode.
This is More Than 5%, a podcast dedicated to covering the stories of women in sports. Whatever the sport, whatever the role, everyone is welcome. Now, let's join our hosts, Zoe Hicks and Carly Jackson, for a weekly conversation with women who inspire.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to More Than 5%. My name is Zoe Hicks, a former Division I and professional softball player, current third baseman for the women's baseball national team, Canada, as well as currently I work with the Dodgers in their minor league program.
All right, my name is Carly Jackson, your other co-host for More Than 5%. Happy to be here. I am a professional ice hockey player for the Toronto Six. Also a goalie, so a little bit weird. But we just secured our playoff spot, so tune into the PHF if you're interested in hockey. Go Six, and yeah, super happy to be here today.
Just a note, Go Six, who are currently the number 1 team in the PHF. Last week's pod, we talked to Dan Rice, and they were number 2. But because of what unfolded this weekend, top spot goes to Toronto. So check that out, catch up with the PHF, and all of that type of stuff. Today on the pod, we have someone that I have been excited about since I honestly thought about starting a podcast. She was like the first person on my list. I wanted to get into the weeds about her experiences, what she's been through, what she's done, trailblazing. So without further ado, we have Marika Lyszczyk on our pod today. I would go into the bio, but I think, it would take me hours of telling you what this athlete has done. First woman catcher to play in the NCAA. She's played both Division III and Division II NCAA baseball, member of Team BC, part of the MLB TikTok creator class. So lots of social media presence as well. Due to the TikTok stuff, was at the 2022 All-Star Game in Los Angeles, a representative for both Aria gloves and All-Star catching gear. Honestly, like so much I could talk about. You've gone to the MLB Grit program, gone through that whole thing, and was a success story through, trying to get more women involved in baseball. When you think of women in baseball, I would say you're one of the first names that comes up in people's minds. So Marika, welcome to the pod. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be here today, and thank you for all the words. I can say the same about you guys.
All right, we're psyched to have you on. This is just going to be a blast. I'm going to shoot some shit. I get a little bit more of your story and some of the details here, and I'm sure our fans are going to be really excited to become fans of you and to hear your story as well.
I think it's a really cool full circle moment for all of us as we've all played together, and I've got to compete against you guys, play amongst you guys, with you guys. So I think it's a cool opportunity that I get to have with you guys today and be on your podcast. So I'm super excited for this.
I mean, yeah, like Zoe said earlier, we've wanted you on since we started having the conversation of this podcast. So, a few episodes in now, we're really happy to have you here. Let's get into our first segment here. We're going to talk about some good shit. So this is just a part of our podcast where we're able to talk about some good things that happen in our days, just fight some of the negativity that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis and bring a little light into the world. So it can be anything. It can be something super tiny. It can be something super huge that's happened to you recently. It's totally up to you. But I can start off. I'm going to say my good shit for today actually was just before this recording. I coach some goalies in the area, and tonight there was a bit of a snowstorm, so wasn't sure if it was going to be on or not. And we went out and we had a snow day. So I had 2 of my goalies that I work with and a bunch of so one is 8 years old and one is 14. And then we had some shooters who were about 9 and 10 years old. So a super adorable age. And there's only 4 of them. So we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna throw my gear on. So I threw all my gear on, and we just did like a goalie session and some skills with these younger athletes, these younger kids, and just the joy and the wholesomeness and just the happiness that was on the ice tonight was just super, super fun. So I was just in a great mood. Back to the roots, you just get to enjoy being like a little kid again.
I love it. It reminds me of when I was a kid. My favorite thing is watching younger girls and kids play the sport that we all started. It's just like you see the joy in their faces, and it's just like, oh, it's so heartwarming.
Yeah, you can see in their eyes, like they just light up right away. It's unreal.
This week has been such a crazy week for me. A little bit busier because we started our actual season. Unfortunately, our games this last weekend got canceled. We went all the way down to LA, which was a little bit of a tough bus ride for like 13 hours within like 2 days there and back. And it was just like flooding. The weather was bad. But a few days prior to that, I made my first NCAA Division II appearance on the mound. So it was just a really cool moment for me to be able to do something else and make history in a different part. I never think of it in the moment, how cool it is getting to stand out there and have such a supportive team until after. So I'm really working on living in the moment and taking it all in, because as soon as I know it, I won't be playing baseball anymore. So it's super cool being able to kind of keep attaining things that I've had dreams of doing for years now.
That is awesome.
I love that.
Right?
I love that. I really can't follow that up. I'm just gonna take good shit off today. Like that's gonna be a wrap for me.
Come on.
I'll give you
no.
your good shit is good, because I've been watching your Lululemon educator videos. Love.
Yeah,
You're slaying on the TikTok. You're
so
working
much.
it.
Thank you so much. I do have a TikTok. For those of you who do not know, I have a TikTok. It's my personal TikTok at Zoe Hicks 10. I talk all about all the Lulu stuff that I buy. I did the math, and my off-season job was a voluntary job because I did not make a single cent. I bought more Lululemon than hours I worked. So it's kind of disappointing. But anyway, good shit. Yeah, I had a really good phone call with my grandmother this afternoon. So I haven't seen my family in a long time, just because, how life works, and I'm here, for most of the year. So to be able to I think we talked on the phone for an hour, just laughing and talk about old stories. So that was good.
So where are you right now? Carly, I'm guessing you're in Toronto, and then Zoe, where are you?
I am in Phoenix right now. We technically don't start spring training until our minor league spring training until the 7th of March, but we've had guys here since I got here in the middle of January. So we're pretty much rocking and rolling. Major leagues are going. Tomorrow I'm going to run the TrackMan in the Major League Stadium. There's so much going on at all times. I'm working probably 11 hours a day. 7 days a week,
oh my gosh,
which I love. I'll take it, right? Obviously, I'm making the coin, but I'm also just loving my life. I get to wear ball pants and tell people what to do all day. That's perfect. It's a perfect scenario for me.
I have a question. Which
What's
one do
up?
you like better? Wearing the ball pants or telling people what to do?
It's a toss up. That's a great question.
She's for sure telling people what to do. She's I love telling me.
I love being
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah, kind of getting rocking with it. Actually in the weeds of it a lot. We have a lot of our guys, so they're ready to go, ready to tackle a new season. A lot of them came back bigger, stronger, faster, so I'm just excited to see what they're gonna do.
I'll be in Arizona in 2 weeks,
so
when I come down there, I will make a mission to come see you, and I will help you with your TikTok content if you want to make some content for your TikTok.
Yeah, let's go. More than 5% fam, keep your eyes on the TikTok.
Yes, I was inviting Carly to come, although I'm pretty sure you're busy. Can I watch?
Not yet. You can watch. It's on. So we play in Canada. When you're in Canada, you can watch on TSN, and when you're in the States, you can watch on ESPN. So in 2 weeks, we're gonna be playing.
I'll tune in.
Yeah, our last regular season series against Boston, who we've been trading first and second place with all year, and then playoffs start the next weekend. So it's gonna be nuts.
Okay, cool. Are we ready to get into the weeds of it all?
Absolutely.
I'm excited. Okay. Well, this is probably going to be one of our lengthier conversations just because I have a lot of questions. CJ has a lot of questions. Marika has a lot of knowledge. So buckle up, get comfy, grab a snack, whatever. Let's get going. Let's get into it. You are known basically everywhere in the baseball world for playing collegiate baseball. Can you kind of tell us about that, what it's like playing at the university level and how it differs from maybe summer ball, maybe senior ball back home, Team BC? How are those experiences different on a daily basis for you?
That's a hard one, because it's really dependent on, I think, myself and how hard I am on myself. This has been kind of the biggest feat for me, playing especially at the Division II level and the college level, because I expect so much more of myself. I have to keep up with guys. I mean, this fall we had 70 guys out to make the roster. So nothing was promised to me. It was just, we'll give you an opportunity and hopefully you can make the best of it. And if you do, like, we'll be happy to have you. And if not, like, unfortunate, that's the end of the road. You're going to have to kind of find something else. And I was so determined to make that roster every day. I was like, I can't have a bad day. Like, anytime you just go to practice, usually I was used to, I mean, I went to a Division III school where we didn't have a lot of recruits. So it was like, you're probably going to be on the team and you don't have to stress out about it. This was like the first time other than Team Canada where it was like, this is the nitty gritty. You got to pitch well or you're out, and like someone's going to replace you. So I'd say the difference between sort of high school and college is like just the attention to detail and how much the guys go in for extra work. Like, I'm telling you, I'll show up at the facility probably like 45 minutes early, and I think I'm early, and there's guys that have been in there hitting for 3 hours prior to me. So it's like there's always somebody working when you're not, and I think I realized that now in college because these guys are trying to make it professionally. They're trying to play indie ball and whatnot. So having them out there, it almost pushes me to be a better player, I think, because I feel a lot of pressure and I want to be the best I can be. And if you're not out there practicing early, if you're not getting the best reps you can get, you're going to fall behind. And I would never want to, first of all, disappoint my team, but also disappoint myself. So I feel like there's just a lot more emphasis on you and your performance, and basically you determine your future. I would say that's how I look at it now more in college, because it's like if you do nothing, either you won't make the team or you won't be as good as the other players and you're not going to get playing time. So it's really up to you at the end of the day, like how much you're going to get. And I think it's a little bit different from summer ball, because summer ball is a little bit more adapting and getting playing time, and it doesn't really matter how you play, more so it's more development. And I know you played summer ball in a men's league too, so you have that experience. And I would just say like it's completely different from season to summer ball. Like summer ball, I'm a lot more relaxed. It's just more about if I mess up, like it's okay, I'm learning, but I'm a little bit harder on myself in the season and the practices that I go into.
Man, that's absolutely nails. Like, so I have a question. I have a follow-up question to that. So how do you deal with the pressure? So like talk about tryouts. You said there's a 70-person roster, and there's probably, I imagine that there's, cuts every day or every couple of weeks. And I mean, that's totally nails. Like you made the team and now you're going right into your season, but how do you deal with that pressure at this level?
Gosh, it was something that I really had to overcome, because I mean, I've had anxiety my whole life. So I would always say that baseball was the one time in my life that I wouldn't have it. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this is stressing me out now too. And like the thing I was using to escape stress of my regular life is now kind of creeping in. So the way I looked at it is, I had this high school teacher, and I always used to be really hard on myself in the way I looked at my grades and the way I would look on a test. And he would always tell me, he's like, no matter what happens in like this current moment, you'll still be the same person you are tomorrow. Whether you have a good outing or you fail a test, you'll still be the same Marika that I know. So the way I go into it is like, I've done my best to prepare myself. And at the end of the day, everybody makes mistakes. I mean, failure is a human thing that happens. So just making sure that I give myself some patience when I do mess up, because it's really easy to get frustrated when you mess up, especially like with such a big roster in the fall. We were only getting 1 or 2 reps. So you have one chance to go up there, and it's like, if you don't do it right, then you think about it for the next week. And it's like, okay, now everybody just watch me bobble this ground ball. I let it hit me, and like I literally let one hit me in the shin, and it was like so unlike me. Like I had the yips for ground balls all of a sudden. Like I took one, I watched it miss my glove and hit me in the shin. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's when I knew it was bad. And like it had gotten to my head, because every day I was going out there, this could be my last, this could be my last. So just making sure that like I breathed through it, and like I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't work for me, like I'll pivot, and like there'll be like, if this door closes, like another one will open, and I'll have the key to that door. And maybe it's not this one, but, and I live by the saying, I don't know if you guys have ever heard it. It's like, it was on another podcast, and one of my teammates had told me, it's the farmer story. Have you guys heard the farmer story?
No, hit us with it.
Okay. It's like, I think it's pretty cool, because so basically there's this farmer, and he has 2 horses, and 2 horses run off, and everybody in the town is like, oh, that's so sad, like your horses ran off. And he's like, I don't know, like if that's a good or a bad thing. And the next day the horses return with 2 more horses, and everyone's like, oh, it's so great, your horses brought 2 more horses. He's like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. And the next day his son goes out to break the horses because they're wild. He falls off and breaks his leg. And I was like, that's so horrible. Your son broke his leg. And he's like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. The next day the army shows up and they're like, we're taking all able-bodied men to war. And he's like, well, my son can't go because he's injured. And it's just basically this whole story on how these pivotal moments of your life can either, like, it's all in the perspective that you look at it, like good, bad, and you have to have this moment after hearing the story to really resonate with you. Because when I heard the story the first time, I was like, okay, it's just like a story. But I had something happen, and this is going to sound pretty dumb because it's so minute, but like during one of the weeks, my sunroof broke. And I was like heading to class. I was like, now my roof is open. Like everything's gonna get stolen in my car. So I just like threw everything in my backpack. And it was just like a super inconvenience. So like, this is the worst day ever. Nothing else could go wrong. And like 2 weeks later, I was just about to pitch and I was like, man, I really could use an Advil. Nobody had Advil like in the park surrounding. I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna pitch well. So what I realized is because my sunroof was broken, I shoved the bottle of Advil from my car into my bag. And I was like, this really horrible thing that happened to me in the moment ended up serving as like a different purpose for me in the future. And the same thing with that day, I had a home run hit off me by one of my teammates. And I mean, it's hard when you face them multiple times throughout the fall. So it's sometimes they're going to beat you. And he was like, I hope we're still friends. And I was like, no, thank you. Because you gave me the opportunity to show them that I could fail and then come back from the failure. Like I could have looked at that and been like, oh man, like I had a home run hit off me. I'm no good. Like I should probably just quit. But instead it was like, I came back from it and like overcoming from failure. And like, that's what I think the coolest thing is now I don't look at things as there's good or bad. It's like so in between. That's like how you look at it and how it like plays out in the future. Cause that one bad thing could turn into a good thing.
CJ and I have talked about this like off mic, off podcast, whatever, of just like the trust in your ability to figure shit out. Like as a human being, like something might not work out for you. You might have a shitty day. Like just your trust in the fact that like, okay, I'm going to either bounce back from this or find a new route or whatever. Like just your trust to bounce back and be able to make the most out of whatever situation you're handed. And I think that's exactly like that in a nutshell is like, okay, it's not good or bad. It just depends what you do with it. Right. I always look at people always try and make like the right choice. They think like, oh, well, like I have these two options in front of me. One thing's the right choice and one thing's the wrong choice. But at the end of the day, whatever choice you choose, if you go into it 100% and you're committed to it, that is the right choice, regardless of if it's, quote unquote, right or wrong. So like, that's huge of just like trusting your ability to be able to be like, yeah, like if I'm going to give this my all, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to go find something else and give that my all. And life works in interesting ways, right? Like, did you think that when you were at the MLB Grit event that you were going to be at the 2022 All-Star game? Maybe not.
No. And that's the craziest thing is like, at some point, like when do you bet on yourself? I went so many years with doubting myself and waiting for people to tell me that I'm good enough to play at these levels. And finally, when I got to a point where like I literally had the scout that told me and helped me the first time get to college was like, Marika, like everyone's told at some point that it's time to hang up the cleats. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the end for me. Because if he's telling me that, like that's it. And I was like, you know what? Wait, if I had of taken everyone's advice not doing what I've done, I wouldn't be where I was today. And I went to a huge decision because I was about to go play softball at Gardner-Webb before I went here. And I went on 2 visits and I was like, oh my gosh, I can either have a spot that I know I'm going to be on, I'll get a scholarship, or I could go to one where I'm paying my way and don't know what the inevitable is. And I looked at my mom and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna bet on myself and hope for the best. And like it's worked out in the past, and like if it doesn't, then I'll figure it out. But like hopefully, like if I can play to the ability that I know I can play, that I'll be okay. And if I switch now, I'll never know. Like I feel like I like regret it the rest of my life of like things that I could have done. So I would have like rather like failed trying than totally just given up on the dream.
Nobody knows this, but a lot of people will reach out to me and be like, hey, I'm thinking about going and switching over to play softball. Like, what do you think? And so you reached out to me on Instagram. And we're like, hey, like, this is the situation I'm in. Like, what do you think about this? How hard do you think it is to switch over? And blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm trying to give the best, experience that I have, trying to help you out in the ways that I can. But in my head, I'm like, damn, like, I really want her to like push through this and like keep playing the baseball and like doing the thing. Cause like, softball is filled with people who play softball, right? But like, there's only one Marika Lyszczyk that is now trailblazing in men's baseball. So like, in the back of my head, I'm like trying my best to be like, yeah, like I got you. Like, I'm going to give you all the information that I can. But I'm like, damn it, I really hope she doesn't take this. I really hope she he listens to me and goes like, actually, no,
It's
I'm gonna do my
hard.
thing.
And I always tell like younger girls, especially like the girls I played on Team BC with, or any of those girls that struggle with guys, like I'm sure you guys have gone through it where it's like you're playing with guys and you're 14, they think girls are gross, and if you talk to them they like you and all those things. So like that was the hardest part for me, and honestly it has gotten easier playing with guys because they've matured. So it's like finally like I can have guy friends on the team without people like, oh, you're together. Like, and that's like the most asked question. It's like, oh my God, do you hook up with your teammates? I'm like, you guys are crazy if you think that is actually like a thing.
That, like, in that idea of like, you were telling the younger girls like, you can do this, look at me, you can do it too. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, keep pushing your boundaries. Like, you don't have to switch to softball. You don't have to like, stop playing baseball if you love it. Like, all those types of things. I mean, you can look at like numerous people that we've played with have gone to play softball in college just because there's more opportunities, there's more money, there's more people that have done that.
That's craziest part for me is like the first year I started, there was like 2 of us playing college at the time, and now there's 8 in every single division, NAIA, JUCO, Division 1, D2, D3. So it's just so cool to see the progress we've made even in like the short amount of time. And it's like I can't even imagine when I'm like 30 and I look back and like see that this is like a more normal thing, right? Because it's like when I was doing it, it's like people are like, oh, you're crazy. Like they're like, sorry, don't throw hard enough. Like, thanks for your interest in our program, but we're not interested. Like I sent thousands of emails. Like I can tell you, copy paste, more personal, not personal. Like I tried it all. Like I was in there, I was like, I'm gonna make this happen, and all I need is one yes. Like one yes, and that's all you need is. And I think people fixate on the no's more than the one yes. Like there's just like that opportunity, and that's why I think like it's so cool. And like the thing about women's baseball that's like no other sport is there's still history to be made. And that's why I think it's so fun is like there's so many challenges that you can kind of like obtain it. I mean, you look at softball now and it's like everyone's almost done everything, right? So you look at baseball and women in baseball, there's still so much opportunity. There's never been a girl play in the MLB. There's never been a girl catch at the indie ball level. So there's still so much opportunity for like women to like have success in like that sport. And I know even like probably with you with Carly, like I'm sure there's a lot of firsts still with your guys' league because you guys are newer. And so it's really cool just to see that there's so much opportunity for growth.
I really like what you said about just all you need is one. All you need is one opportunity, one person to bet on you, one chance to show who you are and do your thing and do what you can do. And that's all it takes. I think there's such a mentality now in general of being like, oh, well, if there's a no, it's like, yeah, I focus on that. And I need everyone to like me. And I need that all the schools to say yes or whatever it is. But that's totally untrue. Like having your people, whether that's your friends or members of your family, your teams, your whoever, like having that belief and having those people that support you is huge. But also that goes back to betting on yourself, right? That belief of that you can face whatever challenges or opportunities come forward. That's everything. So you're having that mindset of I bet on me, and you get that chance. It's no wonder you're doing so damn well. Like for our listeners, just hearing her talk, like I
appreciate it.
This is awesome, unbelievable.
And like I think it's so cool because it's like even when you look at you guys, I mean every year we go to nationals, right, hoping you make the national team, and it's like Zoe, I've seen you for years grinding out there trying to make it, right? And it's like you never did it before and then recently did it, and then it's like now you're on the team, and it's like every year it fluctuates and our times come and go. But I think it's cool to see the girls, especially who haven't made it in years past, make it finally and cut the roster and whatnot. I think it's cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play with you. So sad, but
I know.
I'm so excited for you guys.
I was gonna say this year coming up. Let's go.
More opportunities, man. Another year of opportunity.
No, for real. We've talked a lot about college. Can you touch on the decision behind transferring and kind of what led you to want to seek opportunities elsewhere?
No, for sure. This was a funny conversation because I had it with my fellow teammates at my Division 3. And I think at my Division 3, everybody was more so, we're here for school and we're a big family and we get to play baseball, but I'm not looking to go further. Mm-hmm. So anytime I would talk to people, I'd be like, don't you like want to like transfer and like go play at a higher division? They'd be like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so crazy to me that people don't like that they're good with that. And that's totally fine. I mean, everyone has their own decisions, right? And everybody wants to play at a certain level. And I was like, I want more. What's the next best thing that I can do? And I mean, at such a small school, we had like a 24-person roster. We had 2 pitcher onlys. It was just a really, really small group, right? So it's like hard. It's hard. We had a little bit of past stuff come from like we were just in a losing streak and it was really hard to get out, and everybody was kind of more focused on their careers that they had. The baseball was kind of like a side thing, and I was like, you know what, I go to school to play baseball. And like, don't get me wrong, I loved my own school, I loved my own teammates, they were all so amazing, I loved my own coaches, but I knew I wanted to go to a place where like every day people were in there 4 hours early, everybody was battling so hard to do it, everybody, the competition was amazing. So that was sort of my decision on transferring. And so I was like, I am getting cold. Like that was the other thing, is New Hampshire was so cold. So I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. Like I am not used to like playing in the snow and like wearing a ski mask, and it's like snowing, and like at some points like our mound would be like plowed into the side snowbank. Like it just like was not problems I ever had. And people are like, oh, you're from Canada though. And I'm like, no, but like I'm from Vancouver, not like Toronto or like anywhere that we have like a lot of snow. Now playing in California, it's like my arm always feels good. I mean, it's always warm. The competition is amazing, and I get to experience a whole new group of guys, coaches. Like my biggest thing that I think is so cool about baseball is like I'm still learning. I was never a PO before. So it's like this fall I learned how to like literally be a PO, like PFPs, pickoff moves, like signs, like all these things, because I was always a catcher before. Like that's never something I did full time. So I never learned. And like at first it was like kind of embarrassed because I'd be like talking to my coach and I'd be like, okay, I don't know how to do that. And they're like, okay, but it's college. And I'm like, yeah, but like I never did this till now. So it's a weird kind of moment for me to do it all in college, because I mean I started catching late. I started catching when I was 15, so I pitched before that. And normally when people go to college, they have their position and they play it for their whole life and they know exactly what they're doing. And I'm like, ooh, I'm learning. I was doing the mounds the other day, and we have to put like a cover on the mounds, and like I pulled it the wrong way, and my coach was like, what are you doing? I was like, okay, I'm new at this, like I don't know what I'm doing, like I'm learning. So it's like it's just funny to see it from like a different perspective on things. But I really love it, and I love getting new information from coaches and players, and like that's what I love about summer ball. It's so cool to like play with multiple different guys that play on multiple different divisions and learn so many things.
What great experience. All these people that you're able to learn from, and now you're in this environment where, I mean, it sounds like it's just perfect for you to be able to continue to push the limits of your play. You're learning somewhat of a new position, a different styles of game. Like, I mean, and I can imagine that your experience as a catcher too probably helps with the mindset of the pitcher, right? Because you know what pitches to call, like you've seen it from the other end. And what a treat to be able to see you in this space and in this environment and furthering your career in a different way. And it's just, man, it's so awesome. Okay, so we've talked a lot about where you are now. Could you walk us through a day in the life for Marika?
Day in life. I won't do today because today is boring for me. This is like my cleanup day where I get everything I need to get done. I'll go through like a regular day. Usually I have class in the morning, and then I have practice for about 3 hours before heading to another class. Usually I go see a personal trainer. And then the time in the night is the time I do my content and do my homework.
All right. What are you taking in school right now?
I'm a communications major, so I'm communications and media. Nice. If that makes any sense.
Shocking. Shocking.
Shocker. People always ask me, I'm like, when I tell you, you're going to be like, this just makes sense.
Yes, no, for sure.
It? I love it. It makes so much sense to me. It's so nice. Like I was in psychology before and I enjoyed it, but now I'm like doing this stuff and it's analytics and algorithms, and I'm just like, oh my God, like it's like all the pieces of the puzzle like finally make sense to me, which is like so nice. And it feels, I really love what I'm like studying, so that's so important. And I'm sure that's the same thing with doing a job, right? You have to love what you're doing to actually want to pursue it. And like I didn't mind psychology, but I was like, what am I going to do with this? I don't actually want to use it. So it just happened to be that my first school didn't have my degree, so I was like, oh, I'll just take this in the meantime. So that was also part of the reason why I transferred.
Absolutely. Education is important.
It is. It comes along with it.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, you've talked a lot about building relationships with your teammates and having really good experiences. Have you run into any challenges in the baseball world since you kind of have started in college?
Honestly, I've had like a really good time. Like I haven't really had any problems that I can like think of. I had more of my problems when I was in high school for sure. Like younger, like 7, 8, 9, like those grades. That's when I was struggling with kind of not so much fitting in, but the guys like accepting a girl on the team. Like now I'm in college, I have so much fun. I hang out with all the guys all the time. They're some of my best friends, and like I always make a joke to the guys. I'm like, when I get married, instead of bridesmaids, I'm literally gonna have like the guys in suits, and like they're gonna be my like bridesmaids. I just think it's funny because like they'll all carry them with me for like the rest of my life.
Oh, absolutely. Can you kind of pinpoint what it is they do that supports you so well?
I think it's the coolest thing. Like this was the first time this year. Like I said in the fall, I was doubting myself a little bit, and I would mess up, and my teammates would be like, you know, like you're meant to be here. So always really helps that they want me to be there and they want me to be successful. And when I went out and pitched the other day, like I felt so much support by them. Like I could have gone out there and be like, oh my God, everyone hates me. Like I'm not gonna do well. But like instead they were like, oh, I can't wait to see you pitch. I know you're gonna kill it. Like, and they just like support me so much to the fact that like I feel comfortable to be able to do what I'm doing, and you can't do that. Like I could not do that without them, and it truly takes such like a special group of guys to take a girl in and like be so accepting, because at the same time like I'm battling for a spot and I'm taking guys spots. Guys got cut because of me, so I understand where it's like, oh well, I got cut and the girl made it. Like I can understand where like that is hard. Like the guys that got redshirted and cut were nothing but supportive of me, and that makes me like feel so good about myself, because at the end of the day, like not only do I want to be known as a good baseball player, but also a good teammate and a good friend.
Yeah, what a long way that goes, eh? Having great people
For
around
sure.
you, being a good person, and I just think that's special. And it's so awesome to hear that you're in that environment.
I mean, there's nothing like, I think it's the funniest thing is talking with my teammates about girl advice. Like they'll literally come to me and we'll be like sit down, like give me the updates I need to know. And they'll be like, because with the other guys, they'll just be like, oh yeah, I took her out. I'm like, oh, so good. Take her here, do this. Like I have to know how it's going. So it's super funny to like hear it from a different perspective and feel like they can really tell me how they feel, because it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're on a guy to guy basis. Like they're just gonna be like, hey man, suck it up, or like move on. Like you're over this. But I'm like, oh, tell me it all. I want to know everything. Like I'm just sitting in the stands with them, and like just day to day they'll update me, and it's like super cool to have these relationships that are also like off the field. We can have a regular conversation, and it's not just about baseball. I can ask them about their personal life and like how everything's going, and I just think it's pretty cool, and like being close with some of their families, and it's a whole different perspective, because I think usually when a girl is friends with a guy, usually it comes with you like them and all these things, but it's so cool because I get 60 guys that I get to be best friends with, and that's it. So it's a whole different perspective that I think a lot of them have also never experienced in their life. They always say to me, I always will tell them, I'll be like, so do you think you ever play with a girl? They're like, no. They're like, it's kind of cool. You're just like the guys. I'm like, okay, I hope so. I'm like trying to be like a bro. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's, we've all played with guys, so it's like a different perspective, and like I just want them to feel comfortable around me. And like that's what I said to them. I was like, by the end of it, you won't be like censoring your words or anything like that. I was like, trust me, it's nothing I haven't heard. It's like 1 year out to the next. Like I feel like I don't even process half the things that are said now.
Absolutely. I remember that playing summer ball. It was like girl problems come directly to Zoe. And then if someone needed their eyebrows fixed, they're like, oh, I got this bad unibrow. Like, can
Oh,
you help me out? I'm like,
you gotta
yeah,
fix
no
that.
worries. I got you. Like, no big. But yeah, just like the little things of like, you know, you're like a bro and you're chilling, you're hanging out, and then they'll like swear and they'll be like, oh, sorry. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, really? Really? On a baseball field, you're going to apologize? Like, you think I haven't heard this shit? Are you kidding? So I think it's like so unique to the situation, right? That doesn't happen in anywhere else. But you're just like, you know, talking to your teammate about girl problems. You're like, yeah, what's up? No big.
It's just like such a cool thing that I think that, because all my friends will be like, oh, like you're just like used to talking to guys. I'm like, yeah, because I literally play with them every single day. And like sometimes I like catch myself because I'll be like talking to regular guys. I'm like, bro, and I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? Like it's so bad. Like it's just such like a problematic thing, because I'm so used to hanging out and like used to guys being my friends all the time. So when it does come time to me, like, oh, I like something, like, oh my God, why am I calling him bro?
That's awesome.
We will talk to everybody next time.
Peace in love.